Hey everyone, welcome back for another video. My name is Tanya, for those of you that are new here, and I'm a watercolor and acrylic artist. So I had posted a few days ago that I create these cute little whimsical, colorful landscapes, and if anyone was interested to see how I create them. And a lot of you had said yes, definitely. So here's a video on it. I hope you enjoy it. Hey everyone, so I just wanted to show you a little bit of my working space before I started my video. I just wanted to show you that I use Winsor Newton watercolors, and I bought two ceramic palettes off of Amazon. One is for my cool colors, one is for my warm colors. I've got all different brushes here. I've got this cute little wood container for all my little brushes. I've got my water in a milk glass because I am a sucker for milk glass, a little milk glass cup here. And I've got my spritzer so I can spritz my paper and my watercolors. I've got my my Arches watercolor paper, and I tape it down to, this is just kind of like a, it's just a board. I don't even know what you call this. It's almost like, it's like harder than cardboard, maybe MDF, I'm not really sure. But anyways, I've got it taped down to that. And I've got my Bombay water, they're the inks. They're Bombay inks, Dr. P.H. Martin. I love this brand, and it goes on, and they come in these little tubes. They also come in bigger tubes like this one. So it just depends. These are glass tubes. These are plastic tubes. I don't even pour them out. I just take the cap off and I just dip my my brush right into here. So I don't even spill these out or pour these out into anything. But you could, I guess you could do that. But I just keep them in the containers. I also have my watercolor markers. I use the Tombow brand and the Arteza brand. And I bought this cute little thing just to carry them all so they're nice and organized. Again, I've got all my colors pretty much together. And I've got my watercolor my watercolor pencils. I use the Prismacolor. Let's see if you can see that. I use the Prismacolor watercolor pencils. I've been using Prismacolor since my college days. And I just love the brand Prismacolor. So even my markers, my pencils, you name it, I love Prismacolor. And I've been using that for many, 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 many years. And then coffee, of course. And then I've also used at the end of my paintings, sometimes I bring in my Micron, it's archival ink at the end of my painting just for some little details. And the inks that I do use, I bring them in right at the end also. Well, sometimes I do bring it in at the beginning. It just depends on how I'm feeling that day. Sometimes I will use it like watercolor as a wash for the background for my sky on my paper, but sometimes I use it just for little details at the end of the painting, like little trees and leaves and things like that. So I just wanted to show you, these are some that I finished the other day. I actually had posted them on Facebook the other day, or I'm sorry, YouTube the other day, just to see if anyone was interested to see how I create them. And this is watercolor and the ink together. So here's one, here's the other, and this is my Arches watercolor paper. And I'm just going to show you a little bit of how I make these cute little, I'm obsessed with making little whimsical landscapes. I'm just obsessed with it. So I love the smaller ones. They're really nice to frame. I do end up framing these, and then I have a little studio here by my house, a little shop that I sell my paintings out of. So after I usually make a video on YouTube, I end up framing it and selling it in my studio. So, and then here's a few more that I just started. I wanted to do more like bright rainbow colors on these. I have not finished them. I just started them the other day. So we'll see what these look like. All right, so this is my little, and of course I've got my lamp, and I've got another lamp here and another lamp here. So that I just have plenty of light. And then of course I'm working in front of these great big windows, sliding glass doors. So I've got a lot of natural light coming in this room. So I just work off my table here. I just wanted to show you a little bit of how I have my setup. All right, I'm gonna get to the video now. Okay, so to get started, I've got my Arches watercolor paper, and I taped it down with some painter's tape. I usually use when I'm not doing videos, I usually use this board. I was given this in college by one of my professors, my watercolor professors, And it's just a really awesome watercolor board. I don't even know where you can pick this up because this is, oh geez, maybe 30 years old. Yeah, this is about 30 years old. So I don't even know where you can pick this up, but I've been using it for years for my watercolor and it held up really, really well. Maybe just Google watercolor boards and see what comes up. I'm not even sure. But for my videos, I just take this little board here just so I can maneuver it around as I'm doing videos. It's just a little bit easier because I'm not able to move this big thing around for my videos. It's a little awkward for the camera. All right, so to get started, I am going to take one of my watercolor pencils, and you can use a regular pencil for this if you want to mark out where your hills and stuff are. You just might see the pencil at the end of your painting, and you're not going to be able to erase it if the watercolor paint goes over your pencil. But if you're careful enough to not put the watercolor over your pencil, you then can erase it. But you can also just use watercolor pencils because then it just blends in nicely with the landscape. And maybe just choose a color that you're going to be using in your painting already. So I think I'm going to be doing a lot of blues and greens in this painting. So I'm just choosing an ultramarine blue. And I'm just going to start down. Oh, and also I've got my paper here, the landscape way. If you want to do some, like I showed you before in the video, if you want to do some the portrait way, vertical, you could do some like that as well. These are really cool. I actually think I like the vertical paintings, the vertical landscapes, more than I like the horizontal landscapes. I'm not sure, but I think that's how I feel. I don't know, there's just something about this. I just love it. Because maybe you have a little bit more of the sky showing, and I love the skies. So maybe that's why I like the vertical better. Anyways, all right, so take your watercolor pencil or whatever pencil you have, and you're just gonna start making out some little hills here. And it doesn't matter, you could be shaky about this, it doesn't matter. Hills have all sorts of little bumps and crannies. So just be shaky about it. It doesn't have to be a perfect straight line. And then maybe you want another one coming up here. And then let's just do another one this way. And then the rest I'm going to leave the sky. So I've got hill, 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 sky. All right, and then again, that was with my watercolor pencil. If you want to go in and put in some trees and stuff like that at this point, you can. I am going to just do a wash right now. I'm going to take my angle brush. This is my Princeton brush. It is a 5/8 angle brush. I love this one for the wash, especially for these smaller little landscapes that I do. And I'm gonna just put down some water. Ooh, I had a little paint in my brush. All right, let's make sure that's clean. So I'm just gonna put down a little bit of water for my sky. And I'm gonna go right up to that little watercolor pencil line that I had made. Just make sure that you've got enough water on there. If you want to look at it sideways, because it's really hard to see if you actually have water on white paper. So if you look at it sideways and you see a little bit of a shine, you know that you've got water on there. Now you don't want a lot of water on there, of course. You just want just enough, just to damp it. I think I'm going to take my, what color sky do we want? I'm going to do a purple sky. Actually, it's kind of a purple red. It doesn't matter what colors you guys are using. That's why I'm not going to sit here and tell you what color I'm using. These are your landscapes. So just do whatever you want. And I'm going to just do a nice clean wash all the way across my paper. And I'm going to fade it out, almost that ombre look as you go up. I want it darker by the hill. So I'm going to go over it again with another pass of my watercolor. Just get it a little bit darker down towards the hill. If you want to throw in some other colors in here, you definitely can. All right, so that's about all I'm going to do at this point. Actually, you know what? I'm going to throw in a little bit of my violet. And the way I'm using my brush right now, there's the thick way to use your brush and there's the thin way to use your brush. And I'm turning my brush the thin way. And I'm just making a line down here. I don't want that purple everywhere. And then I'm just going to blend it out. Just feather it out. So see how I've got that nice purple line against my hills here? And then it just kind of fades as it goes up with that other first purplish color that I had taken. All right, now you don't want to put water on these two first hills because this is wet, and then if these are wet, it's obviously going to bleed together. So I'm going to start with the hill down here, and I'm going to go and just put water, just like I did my sky. Again, you don't want it too saturated, but you want just enough. And I'm going to pull in, let's see, I'm going to do a little of my phthalo green. I love this green. And I am going to just go straight up to that watercolor pencil again. And I want it a little bit darker towards the bottom of the painting, so I'm going to pull in a little bit more of that green down here. And I'm just going to let it do its thing as it bleeds up. That's the beauty of watercolor paper. It's 100% cotton. It's awesome. There's other watercolor papers out there, of course, that I love. But Arches seems to be the one that I just keep going for, especially for these landscapes. The bleed is just beautiful. How it blends together. I just love the way that these landscapes turn out on the Arches watercolor paper. But I've done landscapes on many different kinds of paper, and they all turn out really, really nice. For some reason, I just love the way it blends with the Arches. So it doesn't matter what color paper or what kind of paper you have. All right, so for the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead and blow dry this. Normally, I would just let it dry and maybe go on to another little painting. I usually have a couple paintings going on at the same time, so I can go from one, let it dry, go to the other, because I'm kind of impatient. And I don't like to wait for things to dry, so then I just go on to another painting. So I usually have 2 or 3 of these little landscapes going on at once, but I don't right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and blow dry this, and then we'll go to the other hills. Okay, so I just went ahead and blow dried this. Now down here is still a little bit damp. I didn't want to dry it all the way, and the reason I usually don't blow dry my landscapes is because I love that natural bleed of the watercolor as it goes up the paper. If you blow dry this, it kind of stops. It obviously dries your paper, and if your paper is dry, it's not going to bleed anymore or blend anymore. So doing the blow dryer just kind of stops the process. So see how I got this little line right here? That's because I dried this area. This area dried a little bit faster because there was less water and less watercolor on it. This down here is still a little bit damp, so it kind of stopped the bleed right there. But if I would have not blow dried it and just let it dry naturally, it would have made this beautiful blend going all the way up. So that's, there's pros and cons to using the blow dryer or heat gun. It just kind of stops the process right there. But for the sake of the video, that's what I'm going to be doing. So, all right, let's go ahead and go on to another hill. And I think I'm going to go on to this one. So again, I'm just getting my water on here with my angle brush again. You can use any brush you want. I just happen to like this one for the backgrounds. All right, so let's do a blue. I think this is my phthalo blue. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh, and if you hear all this commotion in the background, if you've watched my videos before, you know that I have 4 dogs, and they are always around me. So you will hear them fighting, playing, and eating their bones. All right, so I went ahead and I just gave it one pass through. Let's go ahead and do a little bit more. I like it a little bit darker on the bottom of the hills where it meets the hill in front of it. I just like it a little bit darker. So again, I'm using my brush the thin way again. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. Okay, you can bring it up as much as you want. Let it do its thing. Now, this is wet and this is gonna be wet, so I don't want them to bleed together. I'm not gonna stop the video again and blow dry. So I'm just gonna be really, really careful with putting my water next to this one. And I think I wanna choose my dark purple. I'm just going to be really careful going next to that blue hill we just did. If it bleeds a little bit, it bleeds a little bit, but I'm going to be careful. There, that's really pretty. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit more purple down towards the bottom again. And I'm kind of dabbing my brush. Now I kind of did hit a little bit of my blue in some spots right here and right here, so they're probably gonna start blending together. That's fine. All right. All right, I'm gonna blow dry this really quick again. All right, so I think I'm going to give it another little pass with some watercolor. Now I'm using my Winsor Newton. It's a red sable, it's a size 6. It's just what I have on hand. It's not that I use this one all the time, it's just what I have right here next to me. So really any brush will work. All right, let's go ahead and make that blue a little bit deeper. And I'm gonna turn just because it's a little bit easier on my arm. I know a lot of watercolor artists say it's, you're probably not supposed to be turning your paper, but I do. It makes my arm a little bit more comfortable. I actually had some shoulder injuries recently, so this is really good for me just to turn my paper like that. Then I don't have to twist my arm in all sorts of directions. And I'm just gonna bleed it up again. I'm gonna take a little bit of water, just clean water, and bleed out that line, just blend it out a little bit so it all blends together. And if you wanna drop in a little bit, let's see, I'm gonna drop in a little bit of a different blue. I think this is my ultramarine. And I'm gonna just drop in. See how bold I go? I'm a very colorful, whimsical, kind of in-your-face artist. I don't do these subtle little watercolors. So if that's your thing, is really subtle little watercolors, that's not really what you're gonna find on this channel. I like to go bold and very whimsical with my colors. All right, so I'm gonna let that just bleed into there naturally. I'm gonna try not to blow dry that because I really want it to blend in there naturally without the blow dryer. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing with my green. And I'm gonna take a little bit of just water and just put a little bit of water on that line right there, so it's gonna bleed up naturally. All right. And I'm trying not to hit each color into each other. All right, I think I wanna add a little bit of darker purple on this one. So again, I'm gonna try not to hit the blue or the green. Get a little bit deeper. There we go. I love working with watercolors. It's just such a gentle medium. It's very therapeutic just watching the paint kind of go where it wants to go. If you've seen my videos before, you know that I love acrylics as well. I'm a watercolor and acrylic artist. But there's just something about the watercolors, the unpredictability of it, of where you put the water. It's awesome. You just don't know how it's going to end up looking at the end. Whereas with acrylics, where you put it, that's where it's going to stay. All right, I want to show you one thing. Look how beautiful this is. But I want to just kind of add a little texture to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush and I am going to just drop in some water. Clean water. Little dots here and there. I'm just pouncing my water. I'm breaking it up. Look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. It's starting to make all these beautiful little blooms. And I know in the watercolor world, you don't really want blooms, but I love them. I just think it's beautiful. It adds texture to a painting. I love them. But if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. I'm just gonna bring that up a little bit. There we go. So see automatically how it just brought some depth and some character to this hill. It just broke it up a little bit. I'm gonna do the same thing to my purple one. I'm gonna add a little bit of water. Let's see what it does. Just break that up a little bit. Very pretty. The blue one worked a little bit better so far. We'll see when it dries completely, but right now I'm really loving the blue one. All right, I want to add a little bit more red into my sky because right now it's got that reddish purple hue to it, but I want to make it a little bit deeper of a red. So again, I'm going to turn my landscape. I also look at these landscapes as little abstract paintings as well. So when you paint sideways or you even paint upside down, you're not looking at it as a landscape with the hills in the front anymore. Now you're looking at it as just an abstract painting. And you could take each shape one by one and make each one special. You could do lines in one, circles in another. Just kind of look at it as an abstract painting if you can as well. But I'm going to turn mine sideways. And I think I'm going to drop in a little of my reddish color. Again, I'm going to try not to go up to that purple. But if it does, it does. And over here, my blue. All right, look how pretty that is. I'm just going to blend it up with just some water. I'm just going to keep going up. I've just got clean water on my brush right now. There we go. And I love, love, love that look. That's really pretty. And then we're going to start putting in some trees and some bushes and maybe a little fence. I'm really into, when I layer my paintings, I'll show you this one. I just start layering it with trees and maybe some flowers in the foreground or bushes, maybe a little fence. I love to do usually a little moon or a little sun. And then maybe some twinkling stars in the back, or if it's a snowy day, you can look at it that as snow. Now, if you treat this as snow, obviously you want the snow on your whole painting. If it's just stars, obviously it's just going to stay on the sky. So that'll show you the difference between the stars and if it's snow. And then I go in and I put like little shadows and stuff like that at the end. And then I'll bring in maybe some little lines on the hills, which are really cute. Otherwise, if you like the little blooms, you could do that, or you could do both. All right, I'm going to dry this really quick because I think it's blended enough. I'm going to go ahead and dry this really quick, and we're going to start putting some details. Yeah. Okay, so this is nice and dry, and where I was trying to bump up the colors together, I have a little bit of a white line. If you like that white line, leave it. It looks kind of like a little reflection, especially when we start putting in our white bushes and trees and stuff like that. But if you don't like it, just go over that line with the color that you had used. So here I would do the blue, here I would do the purple. But I'm going to leave it because we're going to be adding white to this anyway. So look how beautiful that dried. I love all those blooms. So you've got this light and dark area. I love that. If you don't love it, don't do the little water droplets like I had done. And this, again, I like it. It shows that the foreground is a little bit darker. As the hill goes back, it's a little bit lighter. I love that look. If you don't like that look, you could just make your whole hill one solid color. All right, I'm going to take my my Tombow water-based watercolor markers. So I love watercolors, like I said, but I do use watercolor markers. I'll use the ink. I will use the watercolor pencils. So I'm a little bit all across the board. So if you want to call it mixed media, great, but it is usually all watercolor-based stuff. All right, I'm going to turn my landscape on an angle like this, and I'm going to come and make some really cute, or not cute, I shouldn't say cute, but some cute little, yeah, I guess they are cute, little lines down my hill like this. Almost like they, when the farmers cut the grass or cut the wheat or whatever they're cutting, it kind of makes these little rows. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. I'm doing, and then the green that I'm using is a 346 if you have the Tombow brand. Now, in perspective, everything is kind of coming off. Just imagine you have an imaginary dot like up here. These lines were coming to the dot that way, and as I get to the middle, they straighten up, and then as I come this way, they kind of go the other way. So if my painting was even longer, these lines, by the time you got to these lines over here, they would be coming in on the total opposite angle because it's the vanishing point. You're just going to imagine a vanishing point up here somewhere and just kind of drag all these lines to it. So they're not all going the same direction. That just makes it a little bit more realistic. All right, I'm going to pull in let's pull in a dark, like a dark teal. And I'm gonna do, you know what? I actually like the blooms on that one. I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm gonna do the purple. I'm gonna come in with some purple lines. Let's see, we'll have our lines going this way again. Now, if you wanna do this with just watercolor, regular watercolor in a brush, you definitely can. I like to just play around with what I have, and I've got these markers right here, and I love them, so I'm gonna use them. But you do not have to do this with the markers. All right, so just to break up that line work like this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my brush with just water, and I'm gonna pounce in some water right on those lines. And I want it to kind of bleed together. So it's almost like the effect that we got up here with these blooms. If you don't like this texture look, you can go right over with a smooth brush stroke right over these lines. But I love texture in my paintings. So I'm gonna do just these little pouncing motion, and I'm gonna bleed it onto all parts of the green. So the marker and where I had just done my regular watercolor. I'm gonna bring in this texture. Okay, and you can do as much or as little as you want. I just find that to be really pretty. I might do just a few up here. There. I love the look of texture. To me, that's beautiful. This is a little bit more kind of in your face type texture, and this is a little bit more subtle up here with these little blooms here. All right, I'm gonna do the purple as well. Oh, I got a little hair on there. Look how pretty that is. Well, I find it pretty. I find this gorgeous. I love when colors just bleed and mix together. Oh, I just touched my purple with my green right there on accident. If you don't want it to blend, just take a little bit of your paper towel. I usually just cut off a little bit of a paper towel, and before it really starts to bleed a lot, I will stop that bleed and dry up that little wet spot there. All right, I think I'm gonna add I'm gonna move down to a different size brush. This is, I believe, a number 2. And I'm just going to break it up here as well. Smaller little dots. There. Really pretty. Excellent. All right, I think I want to brighten up my sky a little bit more. I just want to deepen it up a little bit more. You could take your inks. You could even just take your inks if you want to and brighten that up. Or you could just use your watercolor. I don't think I'm going to be pulling in my inks today, but sometimes I do. All right, so let's do that pinky red again. I love to just push my colors. And then I've just got water on my brush and I'm bleeding it up again. That's all. All right, look how pretty that is. So this would probably keep blending and blending and blending if we didn't blow dry it. But again, for the sake of the video, I think I'm gonna go ahead and blow dry this so we could start another spot. Okay, so it's nice and dry, and I think I'm gonna bring in a little bit of my ink right now. I've got my Dr. P.H. Martin. You can use the bleed proof white ink. You can use this ink. This is a little bit different. This is for pens and airbrushes. I don't know, or maybe it's the same thing and they just changed the packaging. I have no idea. All right, but anyways, it is just a white ink by Dr. P.H. Martin. So I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to take a liner brush. This is my liner, and it says 10/0. So it's a really thin, I don't know if you can see that. It's a really thin line brush. And I'm going to dip it into my white. And let's say I just want a tree coming up this way. I'm going to have it kind of coming off the side here. You can have it coming from your actual landscape if you want to, your hill, or you can have it coming from bleeding off the side. I think I'm going to have this one just kind of coming from bleeding off the side. And you can make as many branches as you want. Just have your branches get thinner and thinner as they go up, because where the branches are attached to the trunk of the tree, it's a little bit thicker. And I'm just going to kind of fill in this corner here with just a bunch of little branches. And then it just depends if you want it to come, how far you want it to come. I'm going to turn my page here, just so I'm not hurting my wrist trying to go in a way that is not natural for my arm. And make as many as you want. And it looks really nice if some are thinner, some are thicker, some are longer, some are shorter, just unpredictable. Okay, and then you can turn it back and see if you have enough. Like, I think I still need a little something over on this side. So let's go ahead and put something there. Maybe a few more up here. And you always want to go back and make sure that your trunk is thicker than your branches. Otherwise, it's going to look really funky. So definitely my trunk is thicker than any of my branches up here. Even where it gets nice and thick here, this is still thicker. You just want to make sure. Otherwise, it starts looking a little weird. All right, good. And let's see, maybe we want to go in and put in some flowers down here. So I can go in with just still the same little liner brush. And let's say I just want little generic flowers. So I'll start with a dot, and I'll just start bringing in all these little lines here and just kind of give it like a roundness. So a dot. And here again, some could be thicker, some could be thinner. And then a little stem coming down. You do as many as you want. And if you want to do some little dots down here, you can. Sometimes I break it up with little dots. You could do some stems or leaves if you want to, or some big tall blades of grass. You could do whatever you want. This is your little whimsical landscape. Maybe I'll have a few coming off this way. Okay, just like that. Now with these inks, you want to wash off your brush really, really, really well, because the ink will dry on your on where the bristles meet the actual paintbrush up here. It will dry in there and it will start spreading apart your bristles. You don't want that. So I'm going to go wash this with soap at the end of my video just to make sure I got all that ink out of there. All right, so I'm going to go in now with some darker watercolor. Let's see, I'm going to pick up, I think, my size 2 and a little Payne's Gray. And maybe I want some leaves coming out this way. You can use any color you want. I'm just using Payne's Gray right now. Payne's Gray's got an undercoat of an undertone of blue. Even though it's gray, it's more on the blue scale. So I love using it in my paintings. Whereas the Davies Gray's got a little bit of an undertone of the green. That's pretty too, but for some reason I keep going to my Payne's Gray. All right, let's do a couple this way. And I don't want too much water. If you want to add a little bit of that Payne's gray even over here, you definitely can. Break up some of that white. Now the white will reactivate, so you just have to be careful with where you put it. Unless you really want it to reactivate, then it turns into like a light Payne's gray, which is really pretty as well. All right, I'm gonna let that dry, and I'm gonna go on to, let's do some little trees in the background. All right, so I'm gonna open my white again, and you can do white, black, color, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna choose white. And I'm gonna take my size 0 paintbrush, because these are in the background, so they're gonna be smaller. And I'm gonna do some little, like little pine trees, maybe just right in the back here on this hill. Just like that, okay? You can make as many as you want going down. So I make a little line, and then I start bringing in all the little bristles and branches. And as you go down the tree, the branches kind of straighten out a little bit. They don't go up anymore, or they could even go down all the way too, depending if there's snow on them or whatever. Just gonna do it like that. And I think I'm going to do one more. I don't know if I want this going across my page. Normally I make the trees going all the way across the page. I'm not sure I want this one to do that. You know what? Yeah, I think I'm going to do 2 more. It does, to me it needs 5. All right, so I'm going to do another line right here. All my little branches again. That's good. Let's make this one a little taller. All right, good. Let's see, what else can I show you on here? Oh, usually I do a little fence going down. So let's do, I'm picking up my black ink right now. And I will take my thin brush again, and let's just make a fence going down all the way down this blue hill. So it'd be coming there. And it'd be going in front of the tree, because it's obviously in front of the tree, because it's on the blue hill. You could do this in any color you want. I just choose to do my fences in black and white. This one here I think is just going to be black. Oh, there's a hair on my... All right, and then I'm going to do the lines. Let's see, I'm going to pull it this way. Make sure you have enough ink on your brush. And then just start pulling it. I'm going to do 2 lines. One coming through this way, which I need to make those posts a little taller. And then another one coming this way. If it starts to get grainy like that, it just means you don't have enough ink on your brush, so just pick up a little bit more and continue on. Now this tree is in front of my fence, so I am not going to put the fence in front of the tree. But what I do need to do is make these posts a little bit sticking up here. All right, again, wash off that ink really well on your from your brush. Okay, so I think I want to go in and just give a little bit of a color to these trees in the background. So I'm just going to pick up my, what color do we want? Maybe just a reflection of the purple. So very lightly, I'm going to go in and I'm going to drop a little bit of purple in these trees. Again, sometimes that ink can reactivate itself. If you play around with it too much, it can reactivate. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a purple like that. Pretty. Just to give them a little bit of some dimension. All right, I think I'm going to pull in some bushes. I normally bring in like little bushes here and there as well. So I'll bring in my white again. I will take my small 0 brush. And let's say we just want to give it some little bushes here and there. And I'll fill it in. I will leave some of that blue showing through though. And again, do as many as you like. I think I'm just going to go across my whole painting. Oh. I left some of that blue showing through. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my water and I'm just going to blend it in there. So it gives it a little bit of a bluish tint. And here's a little bit of a purple one. And if it's not blue enough for you, you can go in and you can drop in a little bit more blue if you want, here and there. And this was a little too much, so I'm going to pick some of that up. And I'm just dabbing my brush and picking some of that up and dabbing it off of my paper towel. All right, let's see, this is dry. I'm going to go in and put a little bit of white over these as well, just to give it a little bit more dimension. And let's see, maybe I will do just a few more of those. No, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to pull in more like cattail type looking plants. So I'm going to do a line, and then I'm just going to dab it on the top here. Like that. Make them as tall as you want. And maybe another line here. Let's see, one more thing I'm going to show you is the stars. I usually put little stars or something in the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my ink. I'm going to put it, let's see if I can carry this over here. These are kind of heavy, these palettes. I'm going to put a little bit of ink right on my palette like that, and I'm just going to add a bunch of water to it. And you want to give it kind of that milk consistency. Okay. Then I'm going to pick up my fan brush, and I'm going to dip it in to the mixture I just made. I'm going to take another, I only want the stars in the background on the sky, so I'm going to turn this upside down. I'm going to just lay something right in front of my hills so it doesn't, the splattering doesn't go onto my, actually that's still, let's do this one. Let's do that one there. So I've got the white on my brush already. I'll put a little more on there. And then I'm just going to tap it off. And you could do as many stars as you like. And if you wanted to do this with some yellow, you could do that too. I just use the ink. Now, if my sky was wet, the stars would be blending into each other. Because it would be wet, and then you can let it dry and then go over it with another layer. So that shows you maybe some stars are far away and some are closer. That'd be really pretty as well. I might add a little bit more to this painting, I'm not sure yet, but I just wanted to show you a little bit of how I do these cute little landscapes. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you liked it and learned a little something. And if you did like it, please give me a thumbs up, and you can make a comment in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more videos like this one. Also, please let me know if you want more landscape videos. I love making these little landscapes, and I'd love to show you how I do them. So just let me know, and have a great day. Bye.